Yeah, Shivani Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Shri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashtu Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtaki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, King Chitraketu's Lamentation, verse 13 to 24. Text 13. His queens all had beautiful faces and attractive eyes, yet neither his opulences, his hundreds and thousands of queens, nor the land of which he was the supreme proprietor were sources of happiness for him. Text 14. Once upon a time, when the powerful sage named Angira was traveling all over the universe without engagement by his sweet will, he came to the palace of King Chitraketu. Text 15. Chitraketu immediately stood up from his throne and offered him worship. He offered drinking water and eatables, and in this way performed his duty as a host to a great guest. When the rishi was seated were comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground at the side of the rishi's feet. Text 16. O King Parikshit, when Chitraketu bent low in humility, was seated at the lotus feet of the great sage. The sage congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. The sage addressed him in the following words. Text 17. The great sage Angira said, My dear king, I hope that your body and mind and your loyal associates and paraphernalia are well. When the seven properties of material nature, the total material energy, the ego, and the five objects of sense gratification are in the proper order, the living entity within the material elements is happy. Without these seven elements, one cannot exist. Similarly, a king is always protected by seven elements: his instructor, Swami and Guru, his ministers, his kingdom, his fort, his treasury, his royal order, and his friends. Text 18. O King, O Lord of humanity, when a king directly depends upon his associates and follows their instructions, he is happy. Similarly, when his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follow his order, they are also happy. Text 19. O king, are your wives, citizens, secretaries, and servants, and the merchants who sell spices and oil under your control? Are you also in full control of ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provisional governors, your sons, and your dependents? Text 20. If the king's mind is fully controlled, all his family members and governmental officers are subordinate to him. His provincial governors present taxes on time without resistance, and what to speak of lesser servants. Text 21. O King Chitraketu, I can observe that your mind is not pleased. You seem not to have achieved your desired goal. In this because of you yourself, or has it been caused by others? Your pale face reflects your deep anxiety. Text 22. Sukdev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, although the great sage Angira knew everything, he inquired from the king in this way. Thus, King Chitraketu, desiring a son, bent low in great humility, and spoke to the great sage as follows. Text 23. King Chitraketu said, O great Lord Angira, because of austerity, knowledge, and transcendental samadhi, you are freed from all the reaction of sinful life. Therefore, as a perfect yogi, you can understand everything external and internal regarding embodied conditioned souls like us. Text 24. O great soul, you are aware of everything, yet you are asking me why I am full of anxiety. Therefore, in response to your order, let me disclose the cause. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Krishna and Prabhu, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you.
You can hear clearly, Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for today's Bhagavatam session. And thank you, Shivani Mataji, for reading today's section of Bhagavatam slokas translations. And thanks for giving this opportunity to purify myself. I will start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachattadeshatarani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, from Slokas 13 to 24. The title of this chapter is King Chitraketu's Lamentation. So just to give a background, so we finished one section of Vritarasura killing. So in the last chapter, that is completed, like how Indra killed Vritarasura, and then so all the demigods and everyone was happy, but Indra was not happy, because he understood that Vritarasura is a great personality, devotee, and a Brahmana. And he felt very unhappy. Of course, that is the symptom of a devotee. And then he also saw that he is entangled by the sinful reaction of killing Vritarasura, who is a Brahmana. So he see the sinful reaction personified following him. So he fled here and there, thinking that how to rid himself from the sin. So then he went to Manas Sarovara under the protection of the goddess of fortune. So he meditated 1,000 years. Of course, during that time, the king Nahusha, so he represented the heavenly king position, like representative of Indra. And we heard how unfortunately the king Nahusha, attracted by the beauty of Sachi Devi, and because of that sinful action or desire, so he had to accept the body of a serpent in the next life. And Indra later performed the great sacrifice and then released from the reactions of the sinful activity that he has done. So, and then in this chapter, of course, in the last section, Grace Ras Chandrika Mataji nicely summarized the first section of this chapter, where Maharaj Parikshit inquires from Sukadeva Goswami, because he saw this Vritarasura, who is in the body of a demon, had a great devotion to the Supreme Lord. Because generally the demons are in the mode of passion or ignorance. So if someone who is in the mode of passion, ignorance, it's very difficult for them to become a great devotee. So, and Parikshit Maharaj also quotes that, the demigods sometimes who are in mode of goodness, they also not attain the pure devotion. So in many cases, so that's why Maharaj Parikshit was very surprised to see Vritarasura, who is in the body of a demon, but showed the qualities of a great devotee. So that question, Maharaj Parikshit raises, and Sukadeva Goswami, to answer that question, narrates the Vritarasura's previous life, being a Chitraketu Maharaj, who is a great son. And Sukadeva Goswami narrates that Chitraketu Maharaj had millions of wives, but no son. Because of that, he is in anxiety. So we'll continue from the slokas 13 today. And in the 13th sloka, we see that Chitraketu Maharaj has millions of wives, but they're all very beautiful, beautiful faces and attractive eyes. And not only that, he has a great opulence and hundreds and thousands of queens are the lands which he is the proprietor. Nothing brought happiness to him because he has no son. And this also gives an instruction for us, like, everyone in this material world looking for happiness. Of course, that's our natural qualities because we are Sachidananda. We are looking for happiness, but we are looking in the wrong place because this material world is a dukkhalaya, so full of miseries. So even if we are very careful to live in this material world, if we live carefully in this material world also, we are attacked by miseries because this is a full of miseries. So analogy is given like, if a man who has wearing the all white clothes, like white cap, white pant, white shirt, white shoes, white coat, all those things, but he goes into a coal mine for an inspection, then we can understand what is the chance of he coming back without a black dot, single black dot. So how much cautious one is when one goes into the coal mine. So some black dots will fall onto the white cloths. Similarly, in this material world, how much cautious we are, so we go through miseries. So that's why we see in this sloka also, Chitraketu Maharaj has all material comforts. Like, he has a great kingdom, Sarvabhaumasya, and he had many servants, lot of wealth, Sampada, and he has a great name and fame. Not only that, he has a beautiful wives, Mahisho Amalochnaha, like, the queens are all at a beautiful faces and attractive ways. But nothing brought happiness to him because he had no sons. Like similar to Dasharatha Maharaj in Treta Yuga. So that's why Acharyas and scriptures stresses us we have to look for happiness in the right place, not the wrong place. So the right place is to go back home, back to Godhead, so that we can be always happiness and our happiness will increase. Because in the spiritual world, there is no miseries. Padam padam yatvipadam natesham. So there are no miseries in the spiritual world. And that should be our goal of this human life. And in the sloka 14, so we see that once upon a time, the powerful sage named Angira, so he was traveling all over the universe without engagement. By his seat will, he came to the palace of King Chitraketu. So these great personalities, you see this here, Angira Muni. So they travel different places, Anucharan. So on their sweet will. For what purpose? To enlighten the conditioned living entity who are stuck with the sense gratification with this powerful spiritual knowledge and connect them to the Supreme Lord. So that is the reason these great personalities, they travel all over the places and preach Krishna consciousness. And we see the same thing like, Narada Muni, he goes all over the universes and he inspires many people to take up the Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga, like Valmiki Mahamuni, Mrigari, Dhruva Maharaj, like that. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also traveled in his old age, advanced age, from India to US to give the spiritual knowledge. So they can sit at one place and perform their own bhakti, and they can go back home, back to Godhead. But because they are very compassionate and very merciful on the conditioned living entities, so they travel and preach Krishna consciousness. So one time, one reporter in London asked Srila Prabhupada, so why he came to London? Because he was thinking that, many Indians came for the job purpose to acquire money or something like that. So, but Prabhupada replied saying that, I didn't come here to take something from you all. So I came here to give. And then he quoted that, he mentioned that you Britishers looted many valuable things from India. But when you rule the country, But when you forgot to take one most valuable things, which is Bhagavatam. So that's what I came here to give that. So similarly, Angira Muni here, we see that so he came to the palace of King Chitraketu. So in the text 15, so Chitraketu Maharaj immediately stood up from his throne and offered him worship. So he offered drinking water and eatables. So in this way, he performed his duty as a host to a great guest. And when the rishi was seated very comfortably, the king, restraining his mind and senses, sat on the ground at the side of the rishi's feet. So here we see that how nicely Chitraketu Maharaj is receiving his guest. So that's a duty of the host to receive the guest. So guest means it's Atidhi. Atidhi means one who comes unexpectedly or unscheduled. So that kind of person is mentioned as a representative of the Supreme Lord. So since he is arriving unannounced or unscheduled, so that's what the Lord is testing. Like, if he comes unannounced or unscheduled, so how the devotee will be ready to serve him in any situation. So with this understanding, one should offer the unexpected guest with full hospitality, like that. Of course, these things are there. How to offer respect to a great guest, like in Pancharatrika Vidhi, it says that you have to rise from his seat. So here also we see the Chitraketu Maharaj stood up from his throne, and then we have to approach the superior when he comes, and then we have to identify oneself by name and offering him greetings, and then we have to offer the prostrate obeisances, touching the superior's feet. So these kind of activities that are mentioned in the scriptures. Of course, if he is a spiritual master, teacher, then we have to do a worship kind of like that, puja like that. So those are the things that are mentioned here. So generally, the guest should be respected in a way how we want to be respected when we go as a guest. So that is the main concept. And Srila Prabhupada sometimes, in some purports, he mentions that so the Vedic principle states that even if enemy comes to our home, so he must be received with all respects, so that he will not think that he's in the home of his enemy. So like that, one should be respected. In the text 16, we see that Chitraketu Maharaj, he bent low in humility, seated at the lotus feet of the great sage, and the sage congratulated him for his humility and asperity, and then he started speaking the following words. So we see here the humbleness of the Chitraketu Maharaj, and that is the great ornament of a devotee. And Mahaprabhu also mentions in his Sistastakam, a devotee should be humbler than a blade of grass. Trinadapi Sunichen, like that. And here we see Chitraketu Maharaj is very humble, so which pleased this great sage. So that's why he congratulated him for his humility and hospitality. And then he started speaking, Sambhasasya. And then in the text 17, so here the great sage Angira started speaking. So he's saying that, my dear king, I hope that your body, mind, and your royal associates and preferably are well. So when these 7 properties of the material nature are in proper order, then the living entity within the material elements is happy. So similarly, a king is also protected by 7 elements. So who are they? So instructor, Swami or Guru, and ministers, kingdom, fort, treasury, royal order, and his friends. So if they are all there in appropriate order, so then the king will be happy. And Srila Prabhupada also quotes Srila Sridhar Swami's commentary, saying that Swami Amatyo Janapada, like that he says that, a king is not alone. So he has a spiritual master and he has ministers, kingdom, and then fortification, treasury, So it's a system of law and order, friends, all these things. So when all these are properly maintained, then the king is happy. And similarly, the conditional living entity also has 7 properties of material nature. So here we see that, the Mahatattva, the total material energy, and then the false ego, Nityahankara, in this material world, and then the 5 objects of sense gratifications, like the sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. So these things. So when these are in proper order, then the living entity, the living entity's mood in this material world will be in the so-called pleasure. So otherwise, so they will be unhappy. So here the great sage Angira asking or inquiring about the king's personal health and the good fortune of the 7 associates. So it is understood that when we ask someone how they are doing, that means we are also inquiring all these things. So all your friends, family members, his source of incomes, so his assistants or servants, so everyone is in a proper order. So are they helping like that? So then only one can be happy. So that's what Angira Muni is mentioning here. And then in the text 18, Angira Muni is furtherly saying that, so king directly depends on his associates and follow their instructions. Then he is happy. So similarly, his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follow his orders. So they are also happy. So this is the mutual cooperations. So Chitraketu Maharaj here is also addressed as a Naradeva. Naradeva means the king is the supreme representative of the Supreme Lord. So that's why king's interest must be in line or matching with the Supreme Lord. So, and Krishna wants everyone to be back to the spiritual world. So the king also should perform his activity in such a way that all the citizens can be inspired and then they can go back home, back to Godhead. And similarly, the citizens also should cooperate with the king so that king and the citizens all can be happy. And the text 19, Angira Muni further is asking, so his wife, citizens, secretaries, and servants, and the merchants, so all of them are in control. Also, he has control on the ministers, inhabitants of your place, provincial governors, your sons, and other dependents. So, and here we see that Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the king and his subordinates should be interdependent. The cooperation should be there. So if all these people can support the king, then the king be able to rule the kingdom nicely. Otherwise, it's not possible. So then it will be a problem. Similarly, king also should help the citizens to progress in the path of bhakti and to make their human life successful. And Angira Muni further is asking, the king's mind is fully controlled. So all his family members and governmental officials are subordinate to him, and his provincial governors present taxes on time without resistance. And then what to speak of the lesser servant. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so Angira Rishi here is asking whether the king mind is under control or not, because that's the most essential element for one's happiness. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions him, right? So one should be, of course, Arjuna says that it's very difficult to control the king. Chanchalai mana Krishna pramati balavadridam. So he says that the mind is restless, turbulent, so it's very strong, so it's very difficult to control. Of course, this is mostly everyone has this experience of, at least I have this challenge. So as soon as we start chanting, like our mind goes here and there. And then we miss the opportunity to listen the mantra what we have chanted. So that's why Krishna gives the solution in the Bhagavad Gita, how to control the mind. He says that abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyana cha grihyate. Says that definitely it is very difficult to control the mind, but it is possible by the suitable practice and detachment. So Srila Prabhupada gave us for us daily practice of chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we progressing in the path of bhakti similarly. So we are also slowly connect all our material things to Krishna consciousness, so that we can be detached from our sense gratification. So in this way, we can make our mind as a good friend. So if it is worst enemy, then it will cause so many problems. So that's why Krishna mentions that bandhuratmanastastasya. Like, if it is if we conquer the mind, and if it is a good friend, then it will help us to go back to God. But if we don't conquer the mind, then it will create all kind of problems. Also, the king should collect the taxes, but if after collecting the taxes, and if it doesn't help the citizens to make their human life successful, then the king will be receiving the little portion of the sinful activity of the citizens. So that's why we see that the king or the leaders has a greater responsibility. So they have to be very cautious leading their dependents. And in the text 21, Angira Muni is saying that so he observed that your mind is not pleased, and you seem to not have achieved your desired goal. So is this because of you yourself, or it has been caused by others? Because he sees that his pale face reflects your deep anxiety. And there is an English proverb also, like, says that the face is the index of the mind. So if one is angry, then the anger expressions can be seen in the face. So we see in the case of Lord Brahma also, like when he created 4 Kumaras and requested to expand the creation, but they were not interested in creating the progeny. So then Lord Brahma became angry because he controlled it, but that angerness expressed in his face. From that, of course, Rudra came. So similarly, our mental states will be reflected on the face. And in the text 22, we see that Sukadeva Goswami mentions that although the great sage Angira knew everything, he inquired from the king in this way. So thus King Chitraketu, desiring a son, bent low in great humility and spoke to the great sage as follows. So, and Prabhupada mentions that Angira Muni, he could able to read the king's mind, Atma, through his facial condition. So that he is not pleased, he's an anxiety, like that. But still he is asking the cause of that. So is it because of the problem that is caused by himself, or someone else is causing the problem, like that? And now we'll hear Chitraketu Maharaj started speaking. So in the text 23, Chitraketu Maharaj is saying that, O Lord Angira, because of austerity, knowledge, and transcendental samadhi, you are freed from all the reactions of the sinful life. So therefore, as a perfect yogi, you can understand everything external and internal regarding embodied conditional souls like us. So we see that here from the sloka, how one can be freed from the sinful reactions, or how we can avoid the sinful life. So it is through the austerity, tapa, and knowledge, gnana, and transcendental samadhi. So the meditation. So it is through all these things one can be able to avoid the sinful life. Not only that, we can also burn out all the sinful reactions. So in Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Egno, Danam, Tapas, Chaiva, Pavanani Manishinam, like that. He says that, this Egna, Danam, Tapa. So these things purify the great souls also. Then what to speak of others? Of course, the Egna for the Kali Yuga that is prescribed is the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then Tapa is the following the 4 regulative principles that Prabhupada gave, like no meditating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, like that. So one who follows this Sankirtan Yajna, so they will be able to make their human life successful. And in Bhagavatam also we see that. So whoever follows this process of Sankirtana Yajna, they are very intelligent persons. Ajanti Sumedasa, like that. And then in the last sloka for today, we see that here Chitraketu Maharaj is saying that you are aware of everything, yet you are asking me why I am full of anxiety. Therefore, in response to your order, let me disclose the cause. Because Chitraketu Maharaj knows that these great saintly personalities knows what is going on in their mind. So, and even in several Srila Prabhupada's disciples also, they also mentioned in sometimes like saying that Prabhupada also knows what is in their mind. So that's why sometimes Prabhupada speaks in such a way that whatever the questions that they have in their mind, it will be answered without they asking. So these great personalities, so they know what is going in the mind of the other people. So like that, so here also Chitraketu Maharaj knew that or understands that since Angira Muni is a great personality, he also knows what is going in his mind and why he is in anxiety. But still, since he is asking, so he has to is disclosing the reason for his unhappiness. Okay. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. I will pause it here as this is the last sloka for today. So, and in the next session, we'll hear how King Chitraketu revealing his anxiety of not having a son, and we'll hear how by the blessing of the Angira Muni, he gets a son, and then what happens next, that we will in the next session. So thank you all for joining. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krishna Prabhuji.